But I don't think we have the E explicit on our podcast, so that's probably a good thing. So you mentioned your kids. I started writing books when my kids were like 2 or 3 years old. They're now teenagers, and I've come to realize, in writing this fourth book recently, just how difficult it was as they got older. Right? They just get busier. Our lives get busier. You also have other responsibilities. You're teaching at Harvard. Heck, we have this podcast that we didn't really have. I know when we both started writing books. So how did you, and this is a question I get all the time because usually it's professors or other journalists asking me about writing books. And they said, well, how can we do both? Right. Yeah. So how did you do it all?
So I dedicate a full day a week when I take no meetings and I just write.
Okay.
Thursdays are my day. I don't go to the gym that day. I try not to play tennis. I try not to take meetings. I try to not have a lot of kid stuff. I just write. And what I've learned about myself is that I write in super short bursts. Something comes to me and I spit out like 3 paragraphs or a page. And then I have to walk around the block or stare at something, a blank wall for an hour. And then all of a sudden it happens again. And so I need uninterrupted time when I can really focus on the task at hand. And I need to have been thinking the week before, what am I going to write with that time so that it's sort of been gelling in my head, if you will. So that's number one. Number two, I ideally like to keep my mornings free for the same purpose. I'm pretty miserable at that. And so what I've really learned to do, Jeff, is my travel time on planes. I've become really good at writing super efficiently during those time chunks. I'll have all the research material that I want to be distilling downloaded, so I'm not reliant on
the Wi-Fi.
Yeah, exactly. all those SpaceX or whatever it's called, right? It's supposed to solve all that, but we'll see. But I have it all there so that I can really crank through. And then the last thing I would say on this book is Ethan, Bob, and we spent, I guess, 3 or 4 days together in Detroit, really pounding through all the insights, process, where was the research, pulling things together, and then coming up with what we thought was the arc of the book, which is, or I think, as you know, the table of contents always changes once you write your way through it, but at least it gave me a starting point from which to start plowing. And I do think I've become, since kids, it's harder to find time, but I've become much more efficient at writing than I was before them.
No,